don't need to make another subgenre. Cough rhythm cough.
Yeah, bro.
Which I mean, it's a subgenre now, I guess, but shade out there.
I mean,
just to get the rhythm kids mad.
Oh well, fuck them all, bro. To be honest, you know.
I know. I'm friends with a lot of them. A lot of them are cool. A lot of them are mainly egotistical dicks. It is what it is. I stay away from the assholes, man. That's like the best thing to do.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I always tell everybody, rhythm is the techno version of dubstep.
It's true, because once you start listening to it for more than 5 minutes, you're like, it's the same. Like, you're just doing this the whole time. You're entranced by it. That's the point of it.
That's the whole point of it. You know, like there's nothing interesting about it, to be honest. Like
besides the sound design, but that's really it.
That's pretty much it. But even in the sound design, sometimes it's very simplistic, and it's just the same pattern over and over, copy paste, like throughout. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, no shade for anybody who listened to this, but I feel that when you're making rhythm, is like literally the easiest shit that you could ever make. Call it how it is. I don't give a shit. Honestly, rhythm is fucking easy, because it's the same pattern, copy paste for 16 bars. Like, and then on the other half, it's just basically one note higher, or just pitch bend, and then that's it. That's just pretty much it. Versus bro step.
I think it's very hard to make good rhythm in the aspect where you make groundbreaking, like for example, Achios.
Yeah, Achios.
Or even like Neonics, like that type. I don't even know if you want to consider that rhythm anymore, but they kind of shook the floor with other rhythm artists when they started popping off more. And they were kind of doing more different things. I will say making rhythm is easy, but you can get really in depth with it, but you can also get really lost with it and say, fuck this shit, it's too boring. And that's what happens to me when I try to make rhythm. And I knew real fast, as much as I love to double rhythm and like play it out every now and then, I could not produce it, because I'm not going to be the guy that's going to make the next groundbreaking like rhythm genre or track.
Right. I don't know, like, see, when you
can really just get like a basic shapes and like FM and just like womp. I made rhythm.
and then give a little brief one. You
change the rate.
One. I mean that, you know. There's nothing like next level shit around it. You're just giving me wolves, and that's it. You know, but when you got people like what you say, Achios and Leonics and these other guys, like there's so many. The thing about those guys is that their rhythm is actually much more. They make it much more technical, unique. Interesting. They don't just give you the same pattern over. They actually give you like a little stop breather. Like they give you a little growl or stab or chords or something on the side, so it doesn't sound like, oh, it's the same shit. Like, I mean, who does it better is fucking Virtual Riot. Like, the motherfucker can just like make a fucking.
He can make anything. That dude can make anything. It isn't like amazing.
He's just a god. Anything. He's just a god. Like, what's on humans?
You really cannot touch him like at all. Like that, he's out of control. Like even his samples have been used by Star Wars,
bro. Like, oh my god! Like what the fuck, bro? What the fuck? Right,
you've produced. You wrote the chords for Justin Bieber's song. You're one of the best dubstep, melodic, like EDM in general, like writers and producers. Now you're on Star Wars 2, dog. Like.
Like, can we just put you on the Hall of Fame already?
Yeah,
seriously.
I don't know how he's not like even like Excision level or Skrillex, like in terms of popularity. I feel like he definitely deserves more.
See, I would put him at that level, but I agree. Like compared to the Excision and him, I put him above Excision. Next to Skrillex, next to Sunboy, next, like, he's at that god tier level. Yes.
But, industry politics, I feel like.
industry politics have something about it. And, and
When I say industry politics, I say like in depth of like he deserves a way bigger following, and because of the following that he's at in the industry, they don't want to like put him in that pedestal like as he should be. And don't get me wrong, he is on a pedestal, but that pedestal should be like 50,000 times bigger.
Exactly. Like this guy is supposed to be like really up there right now, and
like every time he drops a song, everyone plays it. And his
first album,
DJing, man.
And his first album is about to come out right now, and the entire album is literally an EDM album.
Actually, I think it's a second one.
It is a second one.
It's a second one, or he had like a major EP in 2016 or something like that. And it was very like melodic, and also like back then things were different. We were doing complextro and stuff like that.
Oh, right. I remember. Yeah. I don't know.
But this is his first modern album since like way back then.
Yeah.
You feel me?
And the fact that
it's like you said, it's all EDM.
Yeah, it's all EDM. So it's basically like any genre of DJ can pick out a song from that album and they can play it.
Mm-hmm. Or you can play it in the car and still jam the fuck out.
Exactly, bro. And you know what? I'll tell you, like I put Virtual Riot in that God tier territory as well. And I'm putting my boy Nitty as one of those people that's getting to that Skrillex level.
100%. And you know, I think going back to it, something that probably gave him that much, I guess, I mean, I don't know Nitty, and I don't know like what he's like now or what he was in the past, but I know for sure SAE definitely influenced him into like the mindset that you and I are both kind of in. He's just, you know, been grinding, and like, you know, like he's had the opportunity, and he's taken it because he's had like the chance, like, and he's like great at what he does, and it's worked out to his, you know, where he's at. And I feel like because of that mindset that SAE kind of like teaches or tries to teach their students, it kind of gets you to that level. You just have to like get there, like, if you know what I mean, like industry wise.
I agree. If you watch one of my previous episodes, I interviewed him, and it's funny that you say that because I did ask him that question about like, do you believe that SAE, like going to the school, further your career, like accelerate it, or do you think that you would still end up the same way without school? And his answer was, don't quote me, but I believe his answer, like anybody can check out the previous episode. It's like episode 58 with Nitty Gritty. I believe he did say like he would have ended up with or without the school. It's just that in the school you meet so many people with so many backgrounds that
exactly
that
expands your horizon.
That expanded his horizon. Like it was through school that he managed to meet someone that knows one of the Marleys, and then got to the Marleys and got him to do the remix to Skip Marley's music.
I think it's because one of the teachers in that school, I forgot his name, and he's a damn good engineer. He's recorded most of the Marleys.
That's what it was. It was, I think it was one of those engineers, and obviously he saw Nitty's potential and how great he is, and it would just like put literally two together. And
exactly.
Like he said, I know he did say like going or not going to SAE would not slow him down. He still had the same goal. He knew he just needed like a little direction and wanted to spend his horizons a little bit too, so he knows exactly what he wants. But I feel like the SAE accelerated his process.
To get to that level where you're like Skrillex, you know, Virtual Riot, like up there, like you're not only making EDM at that point, and you have to have your like mind shaped completely different. And you know, most people, like if you're only thinking of like EDM, like that's not like, if you expand your mind past EDM, even as just a producer, you will make 1, a lot of money, and 2, gain a lot of experience. That 3, you can like now put into your music, like now knowing all this background of all this new music that you're like working with and learning, you know.
I agree, bro.
And that puts you at that level. Like, you know, look at Skrillex. He's when he dropped a song with J Balvin, I was like, what the fuck? coming from someone who lives in Hialeah, like,
and listening to those Hialeah folks listening to J Balvin and Skrillex.
Exactly, you know, like I'll just be chilling at like I'll just be chilling in like I don't know, like I'm just chilling in a friend's backyard and like someone's neighbor is just like in the distance blasting music and you'll hear dancing in the ghetto, like that song. I'm like, bro, who the fuck is that? And they don't like give a shit that it's Skrillex, it's J Balvin to them, but I'm like, damn, like that's how much cultural impact it has, that he's like, you know, he has his mind expanded, that he's not like, I'm not gonna work with this dude because I don't like it's that type of music. Fuck that shit.
Exactly.
I think that's something also about SAE that I mean I always knew that I could expand to that, but they're like, hey, you should really look at everything you have on the table.
I agree. It's like it's one of those times in which one of these professors says like, you don't know what may happen in the future. Like you don't know where you may end up. Maybe music production wasn't in it for you, but you still ended up working on a great job that makes a lot of money doing this or doing that. And it's because of you learning how to do this is why you're here, you know?
100%. Exactly.
I mean, it's expanding your horizons, bro. That's pretty much it. I mean, as far as my life's concerned, I've always want to be part of audio. Like anything that was audio related, like my whole life was all about
before that. Audio school, when my friend was trying to like record himself and he couldn't, I would like, this was like 11th grade high school. I would be like, yo, I have like my shitty laptop with Ableton. I can come over and like record you. Like you're my boy. Like why the fuck wouldn't I? Like from that moment, I was like, this is the path I'm choosing. Like I love this shit so much that I'm doing it for other people, you know?
What was it that prompted you to, you know, to get more involved in this audio world?
Prior to SAE, I didn't know or have the intention of getting a job, mainly because, again, I didn't like really know. Like I knew about the audio world, but I didn't know how in depth you can get with the career side of things, like the behind the scenes of everything.
Right.
So I knew I wanted to be audio involved when I was, you know, producing my own shitty tracks when I was beginning, and like, you know, I knew Ableton and how to like hit record and like how to set up audio interfaces. So I would bring like microphones and stuff like that I would have to my friend's house to record him for his own music. At that point, I definitely knew I wanted to do audio. I just didn't know how to make it into a career. Once I got into SAE, I was like, for sure, like audio, like I want to do this. And now I know how, like in the terms of the career side of things, like how to make it a career. And like, yeah, so I guess you can say like at that moment when I started producing more for my friends when I was like 16, 17, that I was like, okay, this is definitely like audio in general, like wherever this takes me, I want to do it.
And what type of music actually got you in general that, you know, that you started off with all this?
I think it's like really funny, but I was like that one like 13-year-old, 14-year-old that heard dubstep, and I was like, I need to know how this, like how Skrillex made Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. Like how do you go about making that? I didn't know what a DAW was. I didn't know what a synth was. Like I knew about like stuff like Daft Punk and like even Deadmau5, but more of his vocal stuff, not like his just instrumental music. And then when I really found Skrillex and like discovered dubstep as a whole, like UKF, like their compilations that they would post and stuff like that, I was like, holy shit, how do you do this? And that urged me to explore audio and I guess like production.
So what genre really tends you to incline the most?
I want to say bass music as a whole, because I don't want to say just dubstep, because now like you can't really just say dubstep since it's evolved into so many different things.
Yeah.
So I just mainly say bass music because you can include everything from like dubstep, mid-tempo, drum and bass, like future bass, trap, house music, you know, like if you want to include house music.
I mean, the house part will be like more the bass house. Yeah.
I do enjoy house, but like mainly what brings me to like produce is like, you know, I'm in my car and I'm like driving and I'm like, fuck, that's so good. Or like, you know, you're at a festival when you're like, God damn, like, not that I strive to, because I don't even, when I'm producing, I'm not even in the mindset of what I'm going to be playing out or what another DJ is going to be playing out, but it just encourages me more to make weird shit like that. But I will say metal also like inclines me to produce, bring different elements into when I'm making like bass music. I don't want to say like super hardcore influence, like, you know, like Sullivan King or Big and Slim, which I know you also interviewed.
Yeah. Shout out to my homies, man.
Like, I'll always try to sneak something in, if it's guitar or like in this new track that depending on how the artwork takes to get delivered this in September, which is coming now. In the break, I literally just started putting like double pedaling the kicks in the break of the song. So I was like, this is cool. I've never just nothing like insane, like hardcore, like metal breakdown after the dubstep. Literally just like a guitar solo, like a basic guitar solo that I wrote that I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And I just like double kick, like, you know, like I just stuff that, you know, I try to include. So yeah, metal definitely inclines me to produce weird shit as well. And I think that's what I like about metal too, is that there's been a lot of experimenting. I don't know if you listen to metal or if you've like heard a lot of metal, but like throughout the years, it's just evolved, kind of like dubstep.
Okay.
Or bass music in general. I would say if not more, but you can't just like, if you want to compare metal to dubstep, then you would have to say like electronic music in general, because they're both genres have been, you know, merged. Have been here for a while.
I mean, you got what we call metal step.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My background with music is it's a variety, to be honest, you know, but I am always heavy influenced by rock music, like especially the punk rock. My two favorite albums from the punk
rock's fire too
is Blink-182 and Linkin Park. And Linkin Park is not a punk, it's more alternative, but
if it wasn't for Linkin Park, I definitely wouldn't be here too.
Linkin Park was basically my first rock album ever, and that was in the sixth grade when I was given the Hybrid Theory album. That was like, ooh.
Really,
bro, I'm old. I'm an old guy.
I was gifted when I was in elementary. I want to say Meteora, the album, like the physical CD.
Oh wow!
And like I love Hybrid Theory, but like just because of that, like Meteora will always be like my favorite album from them. But like that was like my introduction to like, holy shit, I really like this. Because I come from my parents are Cuban, our family's Cuban, like we're Hispanic, like, you know, I was born here, but I'm from Cuban descent. Like you grow up listening to a lot of
salsa, merengue, bachata,
reggaeton, and you'd be surprised because a lot of Latin people also love stuff like, you know, like Michael Jackson and like, you know, all these old pop like stuff. So you hear that a lot.
And
exactly. So like I appreciate a lot of that stuff. I listened to a whole bunch of it growing up, and even now, you know, like especially living in Hialeah. But when I got gifted that like rock album, I was like, holy shit, this is it. I'm sure you had a moment like that too.
I was born and raised in Puerto Rico for 25 years. Okay. And then I moved here seven years ago. So I'm in my 30s right now. And yeah, I basically got influence, especially when I was a DJ. I used to DJ a lot at proms, at weddings, a lot of weddings to be precise, and afters and clubs and bars and whatnot. So it's like, bro, like the whole thing that I gotta play salsa, I gotta play merengue, I gotta play this, I gotta play that, a little bit of reggaeton here and there, you know.
Growing up in a Latin household and also being DJ, I understand where you're coming from. One thing that helped me out a lot about that is reading the crowd. Even if it's just your family. The fact that you can have your family like in the palm of your hand just because of the music that you're playing, like you know what you're doing.
I think
especially if you're gonna go into like the nightlife like scene.
Yeah.
If you play the like just one wrong track, like the whole crowd is like, all right, yep.
Yeah, I mean, most of my success here in all the Florida shows and festivals is because of me knowing how to read the crowd. Like usually I'm always prepared with a well, a playlist. Like I know more or less what I'm playing from beginning to end, and like what I want. And then
you know how many songs you're gonna play in a set, so you put like a bit more than that, so you have a lot more variety.
Yeah, and then
that's what I do too.
And then based off what I'm playing, I see the crowd, I read it, and if there's like a song that's not really catching it, I switch it up really quickly into something, and then grabs the crowd's attention, and they'll be like, "Whoa, what the fuck? What just happened? Like, what are you doing?" And then I grab their attention, I crank it up, and then just like go nuts, and that's where I fuck everything up, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's
I will say. I wouldn't say a lot easier, because technically sometimes it isn't, depending on your setting. But for the most part, especially if you go to a dubstep show, like from the beginning to the end, it's like if you can go hard, like everybody will be jamming out.
Right. But you just have to learn when are you gonna go out, because sometimes you don't even want to overkill it.
I think one of the best things, especially like talking about dubstep crowds to do, and like also talking about reading crowd, throwing like a curveball at the crowd always gets them. Like you're playing heavy dubstep, it's going to like a build up after a heavy drop, and you play like an experimental bass song that's like in the same tempo that like everyone's like, what the fuck, like or you just play like something completely different, like a Peekaboo song, for example, after playing like a bunch of Never Say Die songs, that are like just straight hardcore dubstep. And then you play something a little different, like Peekaboo, Wakan. That always gets the crowd to go, ooh. And you hear it every time too.
Oh, the best way how I do it is the way I taught Needy how to DJ. Is basically my set becomes a multi-genre set. Like mostly it emphasizes the dubstep. So I start with dubstep, and then I somehow switch it to some bass house, some complextra around there, just to spike shit up. And then for some reason, it landed on some Jersey, on some festival trap. And then we got some trap, some hybrid trap. And then I build my way up again to some heavy hitter dubstep, and then finish it up with some melodic dubstep or future rhythm, whatever the new genre has been called.
The new melodic genre.
Yeah, like whatever the color bass, like whatever. Like I always finish it up, and then
that's a good name, color bass. I like that.
And I will always finish it up with the one song that actually popped me off in the scene, like the one song that that started my career off, and it's the collaboration I did with Big and Slim, Granada.
I actually did hear that. I've heard it several times when you put it on SoundCloud. You guys had I think you put it up on EDM.com too.
Yeah, it was posted on EDM.com. It got a lot of following, a lot of attention from it. Adventure Club played that song on Lollapalooza, which is
really fuck yeah, dude. Which is huge. Lollapalooza's,
and the thing is that they played it twice on Lollapalooza and another festival. And me and Big and Slick were just like, whoa, what the fuck? And the crowd was just going nuts when they performed that song.
There?
I was just like, what the fuck?
Man.
Adventure Club?
Woo. That must feel really fucking amazing, dude. I mean, I've heard my like friends that play like really big slots, they'll be like, fuck y'all players song, like I do the same thing. But I can imagine like a huge artist just like fucking rocking that shit, dude.
The sensation is.
I am telling you, I cannot wait for that day.
It'll happen. It'll happen,
like,
bro.
Shit. I know. I'm with a bunch of if I keep on grinding, it'll happen.
Absolutely.
Nothing's impossible.
Absolutely,
and I think that's a lot of a big mistake that a lot of newcomers make. They get short-sighted or nearsighted, and they don't think like. You have to be, when you're doing this, audio, EDM production or not, like audio in general, it's all about the longevity.
Play the long run. Yes. Play the long run. You have to be patient about it, because nothing just gonna go off right from the get-go like that. Like, no, It takes time, bro. It takes more grinding. And And believe it or not, maybe right now it's not taking up because maybe your music is not there or is not good enough. Not to say that your music is awful or bad. It's just that you have it, but it's not there. So you just need to keep working, keep grinding. And if you see yourself, the trajectory from your first song that you ever released to all the way to the song that you have right now, you can see like how far you come along. Yeah,
I feel like that's the biggest piece of knowledge to have when doing this, is knowing that like it's not about tomorrow or next week or even the month after. It's like 5 years from now, I'm not going to be at this level. And if you tell that to yourself and you know that, you are not going to be at this level, because you're going to do everything it takes to not be at this level in 5 years.
I agree.
And that's the biggest thing that I try to tell this to all my friends, like music world or not, just like life advice. It just so happens that I have a lot of friends in the EDM world because that's where my life is at. I try to tell that to everyone, like, hey, like, you know, like it sucks now, like, but like, you know, you're going to get there. Just keep busting your ass. And I don't say that as like, you know, like sarcastic or cocky or like sounding like a douchebag. Like, you know, it's better said than done. But like once you accept that fact, that's it. Like what can stop you but yourself?
Yes. And I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof. Like, bro, what you guys got an advantage that I didn't have is that you guys are from here. You guys got people. You guys got friends that are into it.
Yeah.
None of my friends were here when I moved in here. I was all by myself, you know, with me and my roommate. That was it. Like, I didn't have any of my friends that were into EDM, and most of my friends were already grew out of EDM. So basically, I was by myself. And I said to myself, after I went ultra for the first time in my life, I said to myself, like, I'm going to perform. Like, from here in 5 years, like you said, I'm going to perform at a festival. For sure. I'm going to be headlining. I'm going to be performing. I will achieve some sort of way. Like, I'm going to be there. And you know what? That same year that I went to Ultra, that same year I worked with Lucho and Apex. Back then it was called Committee Events. I work under Life in Color. And they did
a lot of cinema events with them.
Yeah. My first show was Jellicle. After 6 months working with them. 6 months.
Yeah.
A lot of times people tell me like, yo, I've been working with these guys for a year or two, and it's just now that I got a slot by Life in Color.
Yo,
you've been working here for 6 months, and you already got a Life in Color slot. And I'm like,
if memory serves right, that cinema slot that you went back to back with Audigy was that crowd was huge.
Yeah,
for the time slot, I was like, shit, man.
Yeah. Basically, so like it only took me I keep telling people I'm living proof. The fact that I worked my ass off and did what it takes just to get to where I want to be, and I ended up to play on a show that nobody knows who the fuck I was, and play a Life in Color, and continue to still playing on these shows with these guys. Like, if I can do it, what's your excuse? Why can't you do it? And this is coming from someone that I had at that time. I wasn't working. I didn't have my Cleveland job at that time, and I was going from my savings account, from my credit cards, building up credit card debt like shit. But I was hungry. I wanted it. Yeah. I wanted to get it because I set myself, I'm gonna do everything what it takes to get there. I networked with people. I met a lot of people. I worked my ass off. I got myself some amazing fans and shows. I took pictures. I gave merch out. Like, I did everything, bro. And I loved it, bro.
Exactly.
And now I'm back here in the podcast telling my story and letting everybody know. It's like, guys, like, if I can do it, someone that had zero backgrounds here in Florida, like zero, and just came from a small island in Puerto Rico just to come over here and perform on a fucking festival the first time, you know, in the first year that's ever come here. If I can do it, why can't you?
Anybody can. And I don't want to say I can 100% relate to like you not knowing anyone, because again, I was, like you said, I was born here, so it's a little different. But when I was in middle school and high school, I was the only one listening to like Skrillex and all this shit. Like, I was like that weird kid that listened to this shit. So once like I was like almost done with high school, I was finally like, you know, able to like go out to events and like actually like meet so at least a friend that also like the same music because they're there. And from there, you make more friends because that person has friends and stuff like that. So it's not impossible even. And I used to be way less outgoing then. I was like really, really shy in high school. So like I had to really like, if I want to meet other people, and this was before the mentality of like performing or becoming like the fucking, you know, a top headlining artist or anything that. I was like, if I want to do anything with this, I have to meet other people that also like this music and like, you know, get out there. I have to do it if I want it.
I agree.
And so like, if, like you said, and this doesn't apply just to music or to anything in general, like this applies to everything. If you really want it, work for it, and nothing can stop you except for yourself.
I agree, bro. It doesn't matter which
showing
industry.
And the biggest thing to remember, because a lot of people always like, oh, it's not that easy. Showing up is half the battle. So like I'm guilty for it too. But when you say you have productions block, like producer's block, for example, or writer's block, like just opening your DAW makes a significant difference, even if you can't write anything. Work on something else. But just put in the time.
That's very interesting, because I was actually gonna ask you about that. About what is your creative process when it comes to when you open up your DAW and start making music?
It depends, because I mean, I feel like with everyone has their own different ways, and sometimes your way is like very random, or maybe other people think it's random. But sometimes and very rarely actually, I'll have a melody in mind or something like that. I actually just started like doing that more, like just like singing or humming to like my phone, like random like rhythms or just like bass sounds. And I'm like, I can not just only resample it, but I can also like, you know, take this, listen to it, and like, okay, this is an idea now. Let me like translate this on Ableton to like other things. Yes. So I never really have a genre in mind, but typically I am trying to produce something that I would like to put out. Even if it's not like game changing, I'm not gonna like, you know, not, I guess, finish it or like put it out. Like I'll still have it because I liked it and I worked on it. I'll either have something in mind or not. And typically when I don't, I'll just sample search and see what I like and see what I can get together. But something that I've learned recently that has helped me out a lot with my songwriting decisions, or at least song starting decision, is every song will always have a drum pattern. So if you can at least figure out a drum pattern that's cool, and then you can get this is like, if you're making bass music, if you can figure out, like, very first thing, you open your DAW, a good drum pattern with a good sub, you off the bat have something that you didn't have like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, however long. So that's, I take that route sometimes. I'll work straight from the drums. I'll work straight into like the melody or intro or the drop. I will say, thinking about it now, I tend to work on my intros a lot more. And I think it's mainly because of stuff like my metal influences, where the intros of metal songs are like, I wouldn't say longish, like, you know, really long, but like there's different sections. It doesn't just like 20 seconds and we're like already like on the chorus or like the breakdown, like most dubstep or rhythm songs.
Right.
That, like, you know, it's 16 bars intro, and like 8 of those 16 bars is already the build up and like the drops right in your face. I also like think a lot of influence from like just starting with the intro is like listening to a lot of melodic music, stuff like Millennium, stuff like, you know, just that world that I genuinely also like listening to. I feel like if you can start your song really well off with like a good intro, like
right,
your drop, if you can make the drop like catch the vibe, it doesn't even have to be that crazy. You don't have to be the next like sound design wizard. If the drop like matches the vibe of the intro and the intro is really good or the melody was really good, you know, I'm not saying disregard your drops like sound design or anything like that, but I guess I come more from an intro perspective because it's the first thing someone's going to listen when they hear the song.
Yeah, like the
first 5 seconds. Yeah, if A&R exactly. doesn't like it, he's gonna like
exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah,
that's because of that. That has even translated to my DJing, where I'm super, 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 super picky with what I play out, from like drop to even intro. I usually like to like the intro will be like a mashup that I made or like a song of mine or something like that. But even then, like I'm very specific with what I played the rest of the set, like because of that ideology that comes from my production. Because if you play something that's crap, the crowd is going to catch on and they're going to be like, well, like, you know, this isn't any good. And then your crowd just died.
Basically, you know. Now, when it comes to like the writer's block myth, or if it's a myth or not, do you believe in writer's block? And if it's so, what do you do to combat it?
I think that's a yes and no question for me. I think you have to put into perspective into a lot of things when you have a writer's block. When you have a writer's block, what's in mind? Like, are you looking to make a banger? Because if so, like, you're not going to get a banger like off the bat. Like, it doesn't happen every day. And you have to remind yourself, you're not going to write a banger every day. And even if you want to, because you definitely can get to that point, you have to put in that practice of already being on your DAW every day, if you have writer's block or not. Because you have to remember, when you get to the point at like Nitty's career, for example, like that is your source of income. You can't just be like, I'm not going to put out a song for a very long time, because you probably also have deadlines for other shit that you're working on too. Yeah. So you have to, like, I guess a way to combat it, if you want to say that you really do have writer's block, is you have to remember that if you make it more strict, I guess, and I don't want to say think of it as like a job, but like think of it as like, you know, schedule a piece of time in your day to do this, even if you have a block or not. Yeah. If you like build it into your schedule, like you will probably deal with it a lot less, if that makes any sense. Once you build the habit of being on your DAW, even if you can't write something, you're going to be like, well, I don't have to write something right now because I can just work on something else inside my DAW, because this is my time to work with my DAW and make something, or like work on something, whether it's sound design, making a melody, or sample selection, which I think is very important. Like if you like to like search for samples on Splice, you can dedicate your audio piece of time in that day to just looking for samples, and like maybe even a sample will help you get out of your said block. And I know a lot of people, which I feel like a lot of people hate on the whole sampling thing, but even people like Peekaboo who have admitted it, like, you know, like if I have even heard on a Liquid Stranger, I think it was the Liquid Stranger and Zed's Dead collab that came out a year or two ago, or maybe I think it was Ganja White Knight and Liquid. I don't remember. It's called Jungle or something like that. The intro is literally a loop from the Kashmir Pack. And when I was scrolling through the Kashmir Pack, I was like, wait a minute, what is this? It sounds very familiar. And I immediately heard the song and I was like, yo, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
If it sounds good, it sounds good, you know?
If it sounds good, it sounds good. And that's another thing too, with when you have a writer's block. If you don't think it sounds good, you have to also remember that someone else might think it sounds good.
Elaborate that.
You like when, I mean, I don't know about you, but for example, when I produce, I want everything to be perfect.
Right.
But sometimes my level of perfection isn't someone else's level of perfection, especially if they're not even a producer. If they listen to the same type of music and they dig it, then maybe you are just overthinking it. And then that kind of, I think that's the biggest thing about this whole producer writer's block, is just overthinking it.
Yeah.
If you're overthinking it, if you have something that you wrote out and you're like, this is just garbage, send it to a friend. Maybe they're a producer, maybe they're not. If they like it, they're like, okay, this is like cool. You know, like maybe you're just being too harsh on yourself.
I agree. Yeah, that's another great perspective to look at it, you know. And let me circle back a bit for the sample part. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, sampling is being well and known by in the industry for many years. Like, guys, everybody copies from everybody.
Hip hop.
Oh my God!
Talk about the hip hop world.
Come on, bro! Like, you know, everybody's. Let me put it this simple way. Future song "Mask Off." Like mask off. I know. That whole flute is a fucking loop of an old song. They just speed up the tempo and pitched it, and that's it. They just looped it around.
There's another song, I think, by A$AP Rocky that has a flute melody on it, and it's from one of his tapes that has a bunch of rappers in it. But that song, the entire like melody, like the flute thing, is a loop from Logic, like the DAW. And believe it or not, and I learned this at SA through the teachers when they were like, you know, when someone had asked them the sampling question, that it's like, yo, like most of these songs are Apple loops from Logic.
Believe it or not.
Or splice loops.
Believe it or not, guys. Like, and people would never figure that out until you tell them. It's like, yeah, like that's a sample for this pack, or
and then like like you were saying, it goes beyond that as well. Like, you know, like sampling other songs, like especially like early electronic music would sample a whole lot of disco. And
yeah, like know, the old like school EDM, like, bro. Before it was called EDM, it was electronic dance music. Like, they used to sample a lot in the disco stuff.
Even just electronica, like,
yeah.
You know? And then hip hop as well. Hip hop samples. Hip hop goes beyond disco. Like, they
slap it into your face. Like, yeah, we sample it.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like an old jazz song from like way back, and like they compress it. They get rid of the low, and like, you know, they loop it. It makes it sound good.
Bro, the Kanye
beat is actually crazy.
Kanye West song "Gold Digger."
Yep. You know,
like what the fuck? Meek Mill's album, the intro was from a Phil Collins, aired in the night. Like, these hip hop artists, they slap it to your face. But like, guys, I know maybe for your moral ground, like, sampling is like, that's not creative, but guys, maybe it is creative in some ways. It is creative because if you use it the right way.
Exactly. It's all about doing it the right way, because I feel like when someone says, like, the bad stigma behind sampling is someone thinks you just grab this, do that, nothing, you just drag and drop it. But there's a whole lot of it that goes into it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say all the time, but if you really want to get creative with it to get past that moral thing, post-process, do a whole bunch of things, reverse it, inverse it, you know, like, maybe write out the melody of the loop on the piano roll and like arpeggiate it, you know, like sampling doesn't just go beyond. Sampling doesn't just go beyond putting it on your DAW and then putting a drum beat over it. It goes way beyond that.
Yeah, that's the part when I tell people, is like, yo, my method of sound designing is basically resample. Like, give me a sample, like a shot, like a drum loop or a bass loop, whatever. I'll post process it like. So many times. It works. Yeah. Like, I'll resample the shit out of it to the point like you would never know I got this sound for a sample loop.
Exactly.
You will never know. Exactly. Like, and you said it before, Peekaboo has openly
admitted it that he samples.
And I remember that he once did a fucking drum out of a fucking snare loop or a drum loop, something like that. It was just like,
I think I saw it. And that dude made like one of the biggest songs of 2018 with G-Rex, Baba Tunde.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You just have to be creative about it. Just like use that creativity.
The biggest thing about it, if you're producing, and I think this is like a biggest thing that a lot of people don't put into perspective, unless you went to audio school, perhaps you're more aware of it. Close your eyes. Does it sound good? That's all that matters. That's all that, and you can apply that to everything from, like, you know, if you're doing a technical melody or like you're sampling or you're mixing and mastering. If you think you're compressing too little or too much, close your eyes, listen to what you're listening to. Do you like it? Does it sound good? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you like took this from that, unless, like, you know, for legal reasons and you haven't cleared a sample from like an old song. That's totally different.
That's a different story. That's a part in which, like, you have to get involved with lawyers and
exactly. But if you're just using a sample pack or something like
that you pay for, that's legal for you to use, that's royalty free, that nobody's gonna come to you. Obviously, just fucking use it. Yeah. I mean, that's why Splice is there.
It's a utility.
Yeah, it's a utility. Look at it as a utility toolbox. It's a toolbox for your arsenal. Like, you're gonna. You may not use all your toolbots, but you may use some of them. Yeah,
that's why I like Splice, because you can like choose what you want instead of
Instead of downloading the whole pack for it, I could just like
pre-splice. Pre-splice, you would have to pay $80 plus for an entire sample pack that you're going to use maybe 5 samples.
Basically,
Maybe you'll use the effects too, for background stuff.
But in regards to now to sound designing, do you believe that sound designing is a luxury or a necessity for an up-and-coming producer?
For up-and-coming, it's not a necessity. I feel like you should learn as an up-and-coming, like you're getting into production, the biggest thing, especially if you want to think about the long run, because you can also think about the long run about this, is songwriting. Songwriting above everything. Because if you sound design something cool, but your song structure makes no sense because you're not good at songwriting. Your melody is just like not on point because you mainly just have only been practicing sound designing. That's a problem. That means now I can only play your drop, which is good in some cases. But like if for example, you're striving for your song to get played out in general, you would want like at least half of the song to be able to be fully played out, drop aside. So I feel like song structure and songwriting is very important. And I think a lot of new up-and-comers overlook that a lot.
I mean, what if I've always believed that sound designing should be a necessity for you if you're becoming a bass producer. Like if you're a house guy, or a trance or techno,
I'll
like you don't really need to sound design, like because it's just you can use presets, and you'll be okay. But as a bass producer, when the genre itself is very oversaturated and it's very competitive, like you want to try to avoid sounding the same as others. That's where you actually come out as yourself as unique.
I think though when you're starting out, when you're jumping straight into I have I finally have my DAW, I have some samples from like maybe a friend gave you a sample pack, or maybe like on Splice you found a few that you like. You coming into the world of sound designing can come off as really overwhelming, especially when you're a beginner.
I mean, I wouldn't put it as like that should be your first priority, be a sound designer. Like, no, like if you don't know anything about production and you want to learn how to make music, I would put sound designing a little bit later on. I
feel like after your beginning, like your like introduction to all this crazy world.
Once you learn how to properly how to build a song structurally wise, then you can start, learn how to post-process, how to play stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, now then you can get into the nitty-gritty stuff into sound designing. Once you get into sound designing, then get into mixing and mastering,
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to limit yourself to sound designing with like a synthesizer like anything like that, or a VST. You can, like we were saying, post processing is a part of sound design.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, that's why they call it resampling, because, all resampling is just basically your post processing, whatever the sound you put
over and over.
Just over and over.
The crazy thing about it is that's become the future of most of dubstep right now. I've had when early pandemic, do you know Spud?
Who?
Wayne Spud. He's also one of the heads of Powerhouse.
No, it has to be right after I left, probably, or a little bit later on,
So him and I we had a chance to do a one-on-one, well, technically 2-on-1 because we were together, but the artist was okay. We did that with Bad Clat, and we did it with Samplifier, and they were like, yo, like resample, like resampling is really like actually like don't get stuck with the MIDI like Serum or like Massive or whatever. Like don't, like it goes beyond that. You don't have to stop. You don't have to go beyond that if you don't want to. But if you want to make some crazy cool shit and you can't like do anything in Serum, you can just add a bunch of different shit on top of it, resample it, keep doing it, reverse it, like expand it, find like cool little loops. I learned that originally first more at Lost Lands 2019. They had a producers den, which I think is a really cool thing certain festivals are doing now. They have like a little like production corner add-on that you can buy. So like it was like mine that the day and time that I picked was I think Friday or Saturday, but like in the morning before the festival even starts. So you go there and they'll have like certain DJ or producers like speak for like an hour. Like sometimes like at that time they only did 2 per time slot that you can choose in the day. So I got lucky to hear like and see on a big not green screen, like a big TV thing that they had on display connected to his laptop. It was he was just like, it was Tynan talking about like resampling and stuff like that. And it was on Ableton, which helped me out a lot, translate it into my production because I use Ableton. But like, you know, like resampling is actually very useful.
Yeah, it is. It really
and like,
is.
You know, you don't, like I said, when I was saying about the Serum and the Massive, like, you don't have to just post-process and resample that. You can post-process and resample an actual sample like we were talking about earlier if you're getting into like sound designing at the beginning.
I agree. Yeah. One of the things I've learned from Mode Step, shout out to my brothers Josh and Pat, and also from Crimson Shout out to Yashar, about the art of resampling. If you want to make your sound very unique and at the same time cohesive with your drop, take one sound, whether it's a sample from Splice or you just made a simple sound from Serum, whichever VST, whatever. Now try to make a drop out of that one sound and, do a lot of post-processing and a lot of resampling, and then just fuck it up like 4, 6, 7 times out of that one sound, and now make a drop out of it. Like have one part as a stab, have one part as a loop, have this part as a breather.
Get that one sound to sound like different things.
Yeah, get that thing, and that's before cool. You know it,
I'm gonna try that.
Before you know it, when you hear your drop, it may sound like there's like a lot of different sounds, but it all came from that one sound that you made, and it sounds cohesive, good. And it sounds it's like it was meant to be.
Yeah, exactly, because you literally have control over this one sound.
Exactly.
And everything came from this one sound, so it's just way more organized. I'm actually gonna start doing that more now that I think about that.
Try it out, bro. It's cool. Actually pretty cool. Like, and also like if you don't have this VST, like try out Portal and Fracture.
I have it.
Oh, you have Portal?
I have Portal. I don't have Fracture.
You can get Fracture for free. Glitch machines.
Okay.
But there's like
Portal, what I like to use for Portal is strictly slap it and resample it.
Yeah.
Because if you keep it as MIDI, it's useless.
Yeah, bro.
But you get so much crazy shit that you don't even have to stop at bass sounds. You can like stabs, vocal stuff, like drum stuff, like there's everything. That's a good point though, like using shit that you normally wouldn't use to do something else, like don't like I want to say like use Get Trash 2. I don't know if you have Trash 2.
Yeah, I have Trash 2.
And instead of like normally like saturate it to make it a little warmer, just like oversaturate it where it sounds like a blown off speaker, resample it, do something else to it, maybe toss another Trash 2 to give it a different sound, bro, that you wouldn't have gotten.
Use Corpus, Ableton Stop Plugin.
Corpus is amazing.
Use the frequency shifter. Use
frequency shifter.
Echo. Use the LFO.
The ring mod on the frequency shifter.
Yeah, like there's so many things even Brain with Stop Plugin. Yeah, like there's so many cool things that it's limitless at that point. Now
you don't need a DAW. And even if you wanted a sound design with a synth, Ableton has one. The Wavetabler.
Or the simpler, yeah. Basically, that's what I love about Ableton. It's very user friendly and it's very limitless. Organized. Yeah, organized and limitless. Like the style of audio manipulation that you can do in Ableton is much more free will and limitless than Logic and Pro Tools or Fruity Loops or anything. Like you can do so much more in Ableton that you couldn't get this in Logic or in Fruity Loops. I
don't think there's another DAW where you can do a live performance in.
Yeah, and that's another aspect.
The crazy thing about Ableton is in the live view, you can also make a beat like that.
Yeah, that is true.
You don't have to do like a producer on the sideways view. I always forget what it's called.
It's arrange view and clip view.
Yeah. So in the arrangement view, that's what I typically use. But you don't have to just stick to that to make a song. And I think that's crazy. I think it's like awesome that you can do that. Like you said, limitless.
That's what it is, man. That's why I always encourage people to get Ableton, man. It's like it's very user friendly and just, bro, it's just.
And I always tell people you don't have to ditch your DAW. Like you can be using both if you want. For a little while, I was using FL and Ableton because there were certain stuff that you couldn't get on Ableton that FL had. Like, but now you can 100%. If you want to, you can buy those things.
Right. I mean, I used to have the Pro Tools and Logic, but then when I realized like I can basically mix and master and record vocals on Ableton, I really don't need the other two DAWs.
Exactly. Even though, and Ableton's been making it easier and easier every year. Like,
yeah.
With the new Ableton, they added vocal comping finally. I'm like, okay, so now I really don't have to use Pro Tools.
And they also added the key system now. Like now, like if you want to play a certain key, it'll highlight the notes that it only allows you to play on that key.
Yeah.
Just like literally make producers for dummies, you know? It's like I can make a banger because
doesn't get any easier than this now.
Yeah, no. Like, now you just have to put on the work and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was gonna say, there's no DAW even doing that right now. I think where they just like, all right, production for dummies.
Yeah, no, bro. Like not even Fruity Loops or Logic has that power or that capability. You know, like Ableton just literally made it way easier for everybody. Just like do it. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we got a few more questions before we wrap this up. Okay. So
sure.
One of these is why did you decide to call yourself Vaxle? Or is it Vaxle?
So,
how do you pronounce?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce
Vaxle?
Vaxle. Okay. Why is it that you choose that name, Vaxle?
The name has no meaning behind it. Like in terms of like why I chose those letters, it's literally made to be random. Mainly because at the time when I started production, I was like, what do I want to call myself? I did use my full name for a while, but I was like, if I want to further do this, I don't want to use my full name for a whole, like, you know, like legal reasons in the future and stuff like that. And also I just didn't want to do that route anyways, like, you know, Martin Garrix, where he uses his full name. And then I was like, let me like try to come up with something that has meaning, or maybe like a saying that sounds cool. I kind of went with the saying that like thinking of something that sounds cool, mainly because I really liked Skrillex and how the name Skrillex, like what does Skrillex even mean? Like it's just a bunch of letters put together that sound like cool. So, you know, I kind of went with that route, and I was like, I like it. It sounds off the ring of the, like it just rolls off your tongue.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just me. It was me brainstorming with a friend. I was like, fuck, dude, like, what should I even call myself? Like, I feel like something with a V and an X would, like, you know, sound futuristic and cool. I guess that's something else I was trying to think of too, something that sounds futuristic. So I just came up with Vaxle randomly.
Okay. What has been your greatest accomplishment up to this point?
Playing in other cities now, because I've been playing in Miami for like you know, since I started, because this is where I'm from. You're not going to be playing in other cities unless you have a second place in another city or something like that, or you travel often to that place. So I playing Forbidden Kingdom in Orlando, like I was like, whoa, this is like the next step. I'm not even in South Florida. This is Central Florida now. So I think playing year 3 of Forbidden Kingdom was big for me.
That's pretty dope, man. What are you currently doing, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Right now, I've just, like I said earlier, I'm not working in the studio anymore, but I am still doing audio gigs on the side, specifically mixing and mastering. I've mainly taken this time being out of the studio. I'm grateful that my dad has his own company, so I do contracting stuff with him. But it's allowed me to have a little more less strain with my audio stuff, because when you work at a studio, I don't know about you, but I would just, by the time I get home, I don't want to touch Ableton.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, this is what, like, now that I'm not working in an audio like profession, I want to get home and I want to spend as much time as possible on production, because this is what I want to do. So I mainly have just been like working with my dad, making money, and just like Ableton.
Get on that grind in Ableton, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. One last question and we can wrap this up, man. Let's just say that there's this alien mothership that just came down to you, and they're telling you, yo, we need your help. We need your help. Only you can help us, man. But before you come and help us, man, here's a piece of paper. Write free advice that you'll give to someone. What are those free pieces of advice?
I wouldn't say plan for the future, but think about the future when you're gonna do something like that you're gonna throw yourself at. Like, don't think about just the now. Think about 5 years from now, how we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Definitely don't stop believing in yourself, because if you stop believing in yourself, you're going to stop doing what you're thriving to do. Like, how we said earlier, the only thing that can hinder yourself is yourself.
Yeah.
And then the third piece of advice, be mindful, help others around you, because I want to say your community per se, the people you keep around you as a whole are, not to sound bad, are kind of more important than just you. You are a unit, so, be mindful, help your friends, help each other, help people around you is very important. I think, being a lone wolf, not caring for others it doesn't get you far in life in general. It's music wise or not, it's a very lonely life.
It is. I can tell you from past experience, it is, man. So you can never fight this battle by yourself, man. You definitely need others to be around, others that can support you all the way. If you do this by yourself, it's a battle that you will never win, man. And it will take you to a dark place that you didn't need to go there,
go there for no reason.
So I agree, man. And above all, guys, be patient. Your time will come, man. You just don't stop. Just don't stop grinding. Just keep on working and play the long run, because it will pay off. It's not worth playing the short term, because the short term will give you short results, and then
sweet nothing.
Yeah, bittersweet nothing, basically.
Bittersweet, yeah, definitely. Because once it's gone, it's gone. There is no pathway that you built there. You just went from A to B. There was nothing in between that.
I agree. And then be humble, guys. Be humble. Humble doesn't cost you anything, man. Just be a great person. Don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a shitty person. Just be a nice person. Be grateful for everything and be humble about it. And help others. There's nothing wrong to help others. In fact, you never know, by helping someone, that certain someone can help you in the future. It happens.
That's two things I said. Be mindful of your community, like helping people out.
Yeah.
Think about the future, man.
I agree, bro. So Vaxle, thank you very much for coming into the show, man. We had a nice long chat, man, and this was amazing, man. I really appreciate you.
I had a good time. This is the first time I ever do a podcast, and probably one of the most in-depth audio conversations I've had in at least a while. Probably, if not the most in-depth conversation about this stuff.
That's dope, man. This is what I'm trying to do, man. Come over here to the show, and then let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about all the shit that we're dealing with. Let the people know, this is what we're dealing for. And anybody comes over here, let's just have a fun conversation, man. This is what it's all about, man. So before we leave, plug yourself out. Let the people know where they can follow you and expect the next song that you're releasing.
So social media, Twitter and Instagram, it's just official Vaxle, official Vaxle. You should expect my next release probably around mid to end of September, just because of the distributors that, it takes a while to send it, even when you're doing independent music, like on Spotify and Apple Music. Sometime around mid-end of September. It's going to be probably one of my heaviest, craziest tracks that I've written. Yeah. And then that's everything. Thank you for tuning in and for having me,
You're welcome, man.
It's been fun.
Thank you for coming in, man. And thank you guys for listening. And remember, every week is a brand new episode with a brand new topic. So be sure to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolf Podcast for SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and of course the YouTube channel at lonewolfpod.com. That's lone, WOLV pod.com. Help me out, guys. Let's get to 100 subscribers. Let's get this fucking YouTube podcast started popping. Let's get it out there, man. Once we get there, man, I'll give out one of my songs and I'll dissect it and I'll give feedbacks. We'll make a remix competition. I'll do a one-on-one session, whatever it is, guys. We'll celebrate that, right? Absolutely, guys. Comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts. Share your experience. If you guys got a certain topic that you want me to cover or you want Vaxle to cover, please let me know on the comments down below, and we can probably talk about that on the next episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one.